true money, and maybe I shouldn't be telling you guys this, but the true money is
Take notes.
That's right. The true money in property management is not on the PM fee. Like that 8 to 10, 7 to 10% is minuscule, but the back.
All right, welcome to another episode of Breakaway from the Rat Race. And I have with me today my co-host, son, and business partner, Antoine Martel. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with Danny Gonzalez. And Danny was born and raised in Miami. He has over 6 years of experience in real estate as an investor and a broker. And Danny bought his first investment property and then quickly bought a 42 unit package with a partner. And shortly after that, I think he started Freedom Ventures Property Management in 2019. And then with a dream really of helping other people achieve financial freedom, which is right in line with what we're trying to do here at Breakaway from the Rat Race. And in 3 years only, Freedom Ventures has grown to 400 doors and looking to expand to new market. And Danny also personally owned 45 single-family rentals. And then he's loved to inform people about the benefits of investing in real estate. Danny, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about kind of like your journey. So you starting with, you sound like you go very quick. So you bought one house, and then shortly after that, I'm not exactly sure the time frame, but shortly after that, you decide to buy 42 units with a partner. So how did that?
The precursor to that is my story really starts about 6 years ago. I was actually a science teacher, a middle school science teacher, and one of the guys I'm at church, he was a real estate agent, said, hey, I think you'd be really good at real estate. You should get into real estate. I'd never bought a house, never owned a house, knew nothing about real estate. But the more I thought about it, I was like, man, I'm young, might as well try. I didn't have any kids at the time. So I made the leap into real estate, and I was an agent for a few years. And then what happened was I realized, I was talking to an investor, he's like, the real wealth in real estate is not made in the 3% commission. It's truly made in owning real estate. And so I bought a single family home through a HELOC. I ended up buying a house, had enough equity in there to get a $64,000 HELOC, bought a property. And within maybe a month or two, I had this crystal clear goal of what I wanted. I wanted $10,000 in passive income per month. And, I just thought about that a lot, wrote it down, journaled it every day, multiple times a day. And within a few months, maybe a month or two, what happened was I met an investor looking for properties in Birmingham, Alabama. And I came across a portfolio. I was like, no way will they buy it. I was just, they said they were looking for properties. I was like, oh, I came across this single family portfolio. Would you be interested in purchasing it? And they're like, yeah, maybe. And so we started to do the due diligence, do the underwriting. And yeah, sure enough, the three of us, it was me and two partners, we purchased it. And with the intent so we raised the debt on the front end for the down payment. And so the intent was to sell a portion of them. So, fix one or two up, sell it for a greater cost basis than what we bought it for, and then be able to pay back that debt. And so we did that with it was probably about 20 houses. So we had about 22 left, and we were able to pay back all the debt on the front end for the down payment. Yeah. And then in that process, we were going to be selling it to out-of-state investors. And so I had a real estate license. I said, instead of referring all these 20 plus properties out to another property manager, it's like, might as well just get my broker's license and start a property management company. And so that really was the seed for Freedom Ventures Property Management.
One thing that I really like is that your goal was a monthly passive income goal. Yeah. So this is something that I'm a big proponent of. I mean, people have these goals. I want to have like $1 million or $2 million and stuff like that. And this is like, first of all, it looks like a big goal, and then unachievable goal, and sometimes, but passive income, 10,000 passive income. Say, okay, well, this it seems like it's something that you can grasp to, something that is solvable. You say, well, I'm buying one house, and I say, okay, I'm making $200 or $300. Now I have 22 houses left. I say, okay, and now I'm making such, $1,500 or whatever, $5,000 in passive income. So I'm moving in the right direction. So I think that's. I think that's very good, and I like that.
What happened honestly, my family was not from real estate. I had to learn all this, but really it was one meal over Olive Garden that changed my life. What happened? I met with an investor who was wanting to sell his homes because again, I was an agent.
Yeah.
And I remember him sitting down. He's like, "Oh, I have this property or this portfolio of 17 properties. I'm wanting to sell to start investing into other things." And so just started asking him questions like, "Hey, that's really impressive." And I remember he took out his phone and did, average rent of 950 times 17 listed up. It's like $16,700 per month that I get. And I was like, just something clicked. Something, made sense at that point of like, yeah, that's gross and there's going to be expenses after that. But like literally I left that meeting with at Olive Garden and I was like, this just makes sense. And then I had a kid on the way and now I have a daughter now as well. And, it just made sense. It's like, if I stopped working, if anything, God forbid, happened to me, or if I just want to go on vacation, I want to be able to build wealth without actually physically doing the work. And so not because I'm lazy, if anything, it just created more drive to do it. But the other side of it is because I know it's bigger than me. Now I have a family that relies upon me. And now I'm able to do the things. It frees me up to do the things that I actually want to do.
Yeah.
Creating a business.
This is the thing. I mean, we get a lot of feedback about, oh, well, if you're financially free, why are you working? Why are you doing this? It's like, because, what am I supposed to do? What do you want me to do? You want me to stay home, watch TV? No, you're driven to do things. And it's nice to have that financial freedom, to have the capability to basically, okay, well, I'm going to take a month off. I'm going to go and travel here, travel there. And it's just knowing that you are stable, and then you can do your own time. That's the important thing.
I've had to overcome this employee mindset. Just do my own kind of soul searching. Like I was brought up in a very hardworking family. My parents are immigrants. They work, go to college, can do the normal things that are you're supposed to do. And so I've been able, and thankfully I've been able to kind of disintegrate that into like the essence of, what does success look like? Is it looking like working in the same company for 40 plus years? And I saw my dad and I saw my mom still works at the same company 40 years later of like, and I see like there's, she's always worried if this doesn't work out, if I get fired, what happens? And so I knew that there was another way. There had to be another way. And so that's where it's led to entrepreneurship, real estate investing, multiple streams of income, wealth creation, net worth, like, all of those things that really I didn't know before. And so I just had to slowly compound it into today.
Yeah. And then you decide to do property management out of all things, right?
Do you
What
regret
think about that?
that's a crazy. On one hand, Antoine, I regret it because it's very challenging. It's like the most challenging thing that I've ever done from like an entrepreneur standpoint. But it's also, on the other hand, the most rewarding thing. So it is. I wouldn't say I wouldn't do it again. I would say that. It's one of those aspects of life that has helped me go to the next level because of the fact that like there's a challenge, it's difficult. There have been many times where I want to just quit, but yet when I persevere and I press on, I know that in a way I'm growing my character, growing myself, and so yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword.
How is it? In which way is it rewarding? Because it is so challenging that you're.
I think
able
it's
to
because you
overcome it?
survived another day.
Jesus,
I made it
like-
through another day.
That's the thing about property management. It's like so like
Oh my God.
everybody hates you.
Yeah, I know.
No matter what
never
you do.
win.
And like the best case scenario is complete silence.
Yeah.
No owner is like, thank you so much for like giving me the money that my rental property made. Like
No.
they don't
very
give a
thankless.
shit.
Thank
It is
you
very
for
thankless.
cleaning my property after the tenant left.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or dealing with all the headaches that come along with managing property. To answer your question though, I think it's rewarding in the sense that it's become, and I didn't realize when I got into the industry, I am the hub to everything else around in real estate investing. So between the deals, the owners, the lenders, the contractors, the team, like the boots on the ground, like I essentially pull all these people together. And what has happened is that like I'll be, I'll just get like a random phone call. Hey, I know you're in real estate. I know you're in property management in Birmingham. I have 3 houses that I want to sell. I was able to wholesale 2 of them. And with the proceeds of those, buy the last one. It's like this random person calls me because I'm just in the network. Now I have 150 plus owners. I have a ton of tenants that are always looking to buy. So I represent them. I have sellers with houses that sometimes they want to sell. I sell the properties for them. wholesale a bunch. So it just in a sense it just pulls all the different aspects of real estate together and allows me to be the center of it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's my the thing that I messed up when I first started reaching out and going out of state was I called realtors first. Waste of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like finding a needle in the haystack. So I called 200 realtors, nothing came of it. I called probably 20 property management companies in a few different markets. Holy shit. It's like I found, I struck gold, right?
Yeah.
So you call every single property manager in Birmingham, you get a couple people answer the phone. Hey, I want, like that guy. Hey, I have a couple houses. I need them renovated. Yeah, you can get the management if you help me renovate it. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
Done.
super driven. Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm like, oh yeah, for sure, I'm gonna help you out because I know that could be a long-term client.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then there was a guy who the property manager we use in Detroit, or one of the property managers we use in Detroit. I asked him, why the hell did you do this again? And he's like, the data, and it was going to be the hub for everything else. Yeah. So he has like 1,000 doors under management. He knows exactly what they rent out for. He has access to all these tenants who want to buy. Yeah. He has access to hundreds of owners around the world that are investors that are already doing business with him. He's like, trust me, it's a very slim margins, which we can talk about that too. But he said it was very slim margins and it was very complicated and, not it was a very difficult business, but he did it for the data to set up a brokerage and all these other pieces of the puzzle that people need as well.
Yeah, and the way that you explained that, it does. I've never vocalized it like that, but I've experienced the truth in that. Is like when I manage a property and it's say, off of the street East Haven. I know how much we're going to get in rent. And then I see a property for sale right down the road, right on East Haven. I'm like, I know exactly what, how quickly does it rent? How many applications did it get within a week? Yeah. How much rent, like taxes, everything, because it's almost like I get to experience investing without having my money in it because I'm able to, okay, well, now I know on the west side, it's going to take not only 20 days, it's going to take 40 days because there's not as much traction. And so, I'm able to kind of find the best deals because I'm looking at the hundreds of properties. So
or you have some owners that just went through an eviction and somebody broke into their house and all these, and then you're like, hey buddy, you want to just sell it? I'll give you a cash offer now. Yep. Sign me up. So like the property managers we work with as well, that's why we always try to be their number one client, number one buyer, because that's how we get a ton of off market deals as well. It's just all these pocket listings from property managers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the network only grows.
So what kind of, what do you think if someone wants to be a property manager, they say, oh, well, I really like that. I really like to be at the center of it all, the networker and stuff like that. So what do you think is a good characteristic or a good, good skill for someone like to have a property management?
And to kind of boil it down to one would be challenging. I think that if you're going to start kind of a small 100 to 200 property management company, I think the ability to have kind of be very firm, but also very caring. So what I mean by that is the tenants are people. And a lot of time owners forget that. And so like on one hand, you have to be very caring and personable to the tenants and like, hey, like, that sucks that, your kid's in the hospital. Like, I understand, but the other side of it is like, you still have to be very firm. Hey, like we agreed to a rent payment on the 1st. It's the 5th, I could talk about late fees. Like, so it's this kind of double-edged, like you have to have one side where it's very, very caring, very personable, but the other side of like being very firm. And so it helps to have other people on your team that could be the balance too. So it just depends.
Bad guy, good guy.
Well, I said that to a tenant last week. Like property manager emailed me. I was like, what? Tenant hasn't paid rent on this apartment. We have an apartment building. They haven't been tenant on this apartment in 2 months. What's going on? Yeah, she got COVID. I said, okay. Like I had COVID. I still paid rent. Like that doesn't fucking matter. So yeah, but I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from. Obviously, me as the owner, I don't have direct communication with the tenant, so that's a good sign.
That's a good,
it makes it easier to be arm's distance. Be like, hey, like at the end of the day, it's still just, it's an agreement. There is an agreement of a lease, and these are the terms.
Yeah, for sure. And when you first started, was there like a software you used? Did you sign up right away with Appfolio, or were you Mr. Excel for a little bit?
No. Thankfully, I was quick to jump on to Buildium. So that's what I started with the 42, and I still use Buildium today.
Gotcha. Did you ever think about like starting so there's a lot of like franchise property management companies, like all all state, no, not all state, but there's like
Yeah,
a,
yeah,
did you ever
there's-
think about
You know,
doing that or?
actually, no. That thought never even crossed my mind. I unfortunately I was like, I'll just figure it out along the way, and that's what I had to do. And so I would say to answer the other side is if you're starting 100, 200, I think having the quality of being personable but firm. If you're gonna build a 1,000 plus, 2,000, 6,000 plus unit or apartment property management company.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best skill set that you could have are automations and systems.
Yeah.
If you could build systems and build automations, it's very predictable.
Yeah.
Property management is the same thing, and there's obviously some variables. Each house is a little bit different, but there's only a certain amount of issues that could come up. It's like how do you deal with a flood? Okay, well here's the ABCs, the checklist for that. How do you deal with a tenant being late? Okay, on the 5th we post notice, on the 10th we pass it to attorney. It's very checklist heavy, and so if you don't do that on the front end, it makes it very challenging because again, it's you just don't. It becomes, if you're learning on the fly, it becomes very stressful. It's like, okay, well, I've never had to deal with a septic backup.
How do I evict a tenant? I better look at the laws.
Yeah. Yep. But thankfully, I've been able to build it, and obviously, we've had mistakes along the way. I've made a lot of there's a lot of inefficiencies, but 3+ years into the business, we've only gotten better. And so,
So when you decided to start a property management company, what goal did you set for yourself? Did you say, I'm going to have like 200 doors? I'm going to say, I'm just going to do these, maybe a couple more?
That's a good question. This is completely arbitrary, but I, started the PM company. I said, I'm going to create this brand. And I said, I'm going to get to 1,000 units and then I'm going to sell. And so, again, because I didn't really grow up wanting to be a property manager, I said, I'm going to give myself 3 to 5 years. It's very specific on the day that I created the company. 3 to 5 years, I'm going to get to 1,000 units, and then I'm going to sell the company. Not because of anything more than just, I want to see if I could do it. Yeah. I want the challenge. I want the goal. And there have been many times at 200 properties, I was like, oh, God, I just want to quit. I just want to give up. And just like I remember one time I was in Colorado on the mountains. I was skiing in January a year ago, and one of my number one team member called and said, "Hey, I quit. I'm putting in my 2 weeks. I just lost one of my biggest investors, and I got like 1 or 2 really bad reviews all while I was in Colorado for a week and on skiing, and I was just like." Like I just don't want it. Like take it. I'm done. But what happened was I was given. I paused, took the next few days. I was like, I'm just going to ski. I'm going to spend time with my family. And I came back and I just didn't quit. It was just one of those where I was like, I'm just going to hold on a little bit longer. And then it became a little bit easier. I was able to fill that position. I was able to grow. I was able to get another investor. Like it just, things always got better. Even though in the moment it sucked and it was very challenging, because I didn't give up, things just bounced back. Okay. And so, that's
interesting. Yeah. So you got your, I think at that point you were like, when you got started, you had like 20 units or something like that you were managing. Yeah. You say, okay, I want to get 5 years, 1,000. So how did you break it down and say, well, this year I'm going to go for 200 houses?
I unfortunately, I didn't know about creating a plan and building, a yearly goal and then quarterly goals. And now every quarter I get away for 3 days. I go down to the beach and just plan out. I review the previous quarter and then I plan out the next quarter. And that's something that I've learned along the way, but it has really changed my life because not only from a business standpoint, but from a personal life standpoint, I'm able to review my marriage. Okay, my marriage the past 3 months. How have we been doing? My relationship with my kids. How have we been doing?
Review that as well?
Oh yeah. Review my health with my business, with my body. Like review how am I doing spiritually? Like review it and then plan out. Okay, so the next 3 months going into Q4, how am I going to be? What do I want to accomplish? Yeah. It's like one of the goals was to do a monthly budget with my wife. And so I never did that. And so I went away for a few days, came back. I said, you know what? In I think this is like Q1, we're going to be doing a monthly budget. And without me getting away, taking a step back from the
Yeah,
day-to-day
sure.
grind and being able to like assess where am I at honestly, being able to not be in the hustle bustle every day, but like where am I at and where do I want to go, and then creating the plan for that. So no, I did not I did not create the day, the plan then, but now
But you had a sense of direction, and
Exactly.
now you're spending more time on that.
Exactly.
So how did you build a team? Did you build a process first and then say, okay, well, here's one, we talk about the hat and stuff like that. I always think of the book that I read a long time ago, like E-Myth. I don't know if you read that. And it's just like, and then, okay, this is the marketing. This is the, this is that. Is that how you kind of like define different roles in your head and then say, okay, well, I need to buy, or did you I need to hire someone to take over that role? Or did you say, I hate to do all of this thing. I hate to do it. I want to do it again. And then you hired someone to take care of all that.
Again, my background was, school teacher, not being an entrepreneur. So when I started the company, I did everything. I did all the showings, all the marketing, all the inspections, all the selling. And so I've been able to do everything, kind of build a process, and then be able to delegate that out. And so that's just what's happened. That's what's worked for me. But now I'm getting to the point where, I need to be hiring very specialized knowledge people. So like accounting. So one thing that, it's not one of my, like, I'm just not very detail oriented in the number sense. So I need to hire someone who's very good at that. And so now I'm to the point where, I do stuff that, I say, hey, this accounting, this is what I've done for the past 3 years, but I know that it could be done better. And so I trust them with, hey, go and do ABC, but I don't care how you do it. I just want the good results of how it's done. Clean books, ready for the year-end taxes, whatever it may take. So.
And who is your first hire in that company?
Yeah, it's just a generalized person. So just an assistant. So someone to do like admin, like, sending out the leases or screening the application. So it's gone from very generalized hires to more specific now specialized hires.
How many doors did you have when you first hired?
I wish I would have hired someone sooner, but it was around 100.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
wow.
I know. Yeah. And again, I had 2 partners up front at first when I started the company. I've been able to
they
buy
were
them
partnered with you on the property management as well. Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yep.
okay.
But I've been able to buy them out within the past 6 months. So now we're to the point where it's just me, but I have a team. But I wish I would have hired someone sooner.
Yeah.
So.
And then obviously we're not in Birmingham, Alabama right now.
Correct.
We're in Miami. You live here.
I do. Yeah.
So tell us about that. Did you think that was that part of the plan?
No, not at all.
I'm surprised that it's possible.
Yeah, I know.
For us, it's okay because we have the property management on the ground.
That's why I want to ask.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
I always tell the owners that I'm talking to, I'm like, hey, this is the situation. So I lived in Birmingham for about almost 5 years, and what happened was I started the company, built a team, and then my cousin was really sick, and so he ended up needing a kidney. And so he lives here in Miami. I was born and raised down here, and so I ended up going through the process, being a match for him. I donated my kidney, and so I moved back down here,
really?
just because, one, like my family was down here, and two, because for the next 2 years, there's a kind of a follow-up kind of, I have to go back in regularly.
Yeah.
And so, it just made sense to move down to Miami. But all that being said, from the PM side, it actually was, I thought it'd be a lot easier, honestly, because 90% of my time, even when I was living in Birmingham, was just at the office. Now I have a team that do the inspections, that do the showings, that, to walk the property. So I'm not really doing that. But what made it tricky was the extra 10% of the time. It's like the times that like I really needed to go to a property to just, put eyes, like say there's an issue and my team's really busy. It's like those 10% of the time, I've had to learn how to navigate that. But now it's just informing now I just have another hire that has the capacity, kind of the space in their work schedule to say, hey, if there's something that comes up today, I need you to go to the property because
some
I'm not
extra
physically
bandwidth somewhere.
Exactly.
Not everybody at capacity. So.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anything any message that you want to send to property owners out there to say, so that they appreciate the work that you're doing that they may not appreciate right now?
Whether it's me or someone else, just be thankful, because there's a lot on the back end that owners just don't realize that we deal with, like a lot of tenants are super high maintenance, and we have to deal with those phone calls. We have to deal with those emails, constantly threatening to be sued, constantly threatening not to pay rent because there's, broken window or whatever, maybe something small in the house, dealing with the no-shows on the showings, dealing with the hundreds of applications, dealing with the screening of them, choosing, like, there's so much that goes on in property management that I don't think owners really realize that. And yeah, we're getting 8 to 10%, but dude, on a $1,000 property, that's $80, like $100, like that's minuscule compared to the work that goes into it. So,
and I think part of your job too is, and as an owner, if I want to have a good relationship with my property manager, is that I don't want to hear all that.
Of course. Yeah, well, that's
for
what
me
I'm saying.
to be happy with you. I don't want to hear all that,
Yeah.
but. You want the owners to know that, what we're doing with a lot here. You don't realize what the pain this tenant is or whatever.
Oh, for sure. It makes it a lot easier for me. Say I manage a property for you. I go and I have this trouble. You own a property. This tenant is being a pain. And I know that you're a good client. I know that you appreciate the work that I do. I know that you are, and not even like, I need it, but it's just like, it makes it so much easier for me to go out there and do the extra work when I know I'm not just, I don't know, a runner for you or just an employee. Like, I think no matter who you're dealing with, if you could be personable, caring, respectful towards everyone, it makes things so much easier. And so, I mean, whether it's you or anyone else, I just think it's going to be a lot better just across the board. I mean, if you're nice and kind to people tend to go a little bit give you a little bit more because they like you, they trust you. It's just a lot better that way.
And then, you talked a little bit about the numbers too, like. And I know that property management's pretty slim. Like, just think, like, even if you had 1,000 doors, $1,000 a month in rent per door, right? It's like, it's not that much revenue coming in, even at 8% or 7%, and even at 10%. So is there like a certain net margin that like typical property management companies have?
Yeah, it's super low, but luckily we've been able to run a super lean operation. So we're at about 20%. Industry is probably about 5 or 6.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But I know that, and I didn't realize this before I got into the industry, the true money, and maybe I shouldn't be telling you guys this, but the true money is...
Take notes.
That's right. The true money in property management is not on the PM fee. Like that 8 to 10, 7 to 10% is minuscule. But the backside of all of the leasing fees, the renewal fees, the application fees, the renter's insurance, like that is where the true money is made in property management. And again, it's not, you're not talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars of income per month, but you are talking a very stable, predictable, concise, recession proof. And then on top of that, you get all of the other benefits: wholesaling houses, selling houses, representing buyers and sellers. So, it might seem like a very small, like it's just not worth it. But at the end of the day, when you're charging $500 or leasing fees that we charge is half a month rent. So if it's $1,000, we charge $500. Yeah. So that, and you say you're leasing 20 to 30 houses. I mean, that alone, you're talking 10, 15K right there. Yeah. And then the other side of it is the management fees, predictable, steady. And so coming from the agent standpoint, any real estate agents, like, you have these ups and downs. You have these months that are super good and then some months that are super bad. I knew that going into it with a family, I knew, like, again, I could see the market. It was overinflated, too much into it. I wanted to be able to be predictable and have another stream of income that allowed me to have a monthly income.
Yeah, that's true. I guess like you can predict, like, all right, my normal collections is 96% by the 10th of the month or whatever, and then you have a pretty good. It's like almost like a SaaS company. It's just a very predictable contract.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's high. It's for the property management fee itself, but I mean all the other things too. Like it's more like service oriented also. Like that is a little bit less predictable. But
you're half. We pay all our property managers first month's rent.
No, really? Yeah. We no, I know I need to
get that up.
And again, this probably speaks to should we have franchised? Like, maybe we should have gone that route because it probably would have saved a lot of heartache. But on the backside, again, I've had to learn, like, challenge is not a bad thing. if anything, challenge is a really good thing because you're forced to grow. And so this has just forced me to figure it out on the fly.
Yeah. And have you, I know Eric said in your intro, you were looking to expand to other markets. Has then coming to Miami kind of like gotten you out of Birmingham so you can think a little bit more like that? And I know when we met a couple weeks ago, we talked about that as well, but have you?
For sure. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's a business that's predictable with a certain system. So property management in Birmingham, Alabama is the same as, and again, it might vary a little bit state to state with the laws and all that. But for the most part, I would say 80 to 90% is going to be very repeatable. So yes, we've thought about opening up some spots in Montgomery. Montgomery is a very hot investor market in Birmingham and Alabama. Same with Huntsville. It's a growing market. Again, now that I live in Miami, possibly Miami, markets that I'm familiar with, Orlando, I've lived there for 10 years. I'm very familiar with that market. I could, I could open one, but I don't want to be so spread thin. I think I would probably want to stay in Alabama right now. So just, probably in Q1, Q2 of 2023, I'd like to expand Montgomery and then potentially other ones.
Gotcha.
So what are some of the characteristics you would look in a market that you want to expand? You say, well, these are all the characters, all the filters that I want to use, and here are the markets, my top markets. So what?
Honestly, Eric, I haven't even gotten to that. I've been focused on building out Birmingham so much that I haven't even set up the criteria. Right now, it's really just, do I know that market? Can I hire someone who knows that market? Is there demand for that market? Would I be able to scale the company there? Say it's a middle of Florida where there's not a lot of demand. I don't know anyone. I don't know the market. I just probably wouldn't take that. Okay. But
what's the big challenge in scaling up the business? Is it going to be finding contractors? Is it finding the people that are going to run around and talk to tenants? Is it the marketing?
I think when I think about scaling in Birmingham, I think the one of the more challenging things has been finding good employees. So people that know property management, that could do the work and then know how to respond to owners, know how to respond to tenants. That, finding level 10 great employees is very challenging. And so, that's one aspect of it. The other side of it is, yes, you need contractors. If you don't have a good network of contractors that have the capacity to take on the plumbing work orders, the electrical work orders, the roofing work, then it's going to be very, very challenging because the tenants are going to get frustrated, the owners are going to get frustrated. It's going to be a very stressful environment versus having an excess amount of contractors that you could call upon whenever there's an issue.
So first of all, is all of your employees currently in Birmingham, or are they some virtual too?
I have some virtuals.
Some virtual. Okay. And then are they in an office in Birmingham?
Yeah.
You have an office?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually own a commercial building, and so that's just Freedom Ventures rents out a building. An office in that building.
Okay. And then if you were because remember I kind of told them what we were doing with the flip system and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think that was the biggest thing. If you packaged everything that you had, gave it to somebody who's in Montgomery, be like, hey, here's a system. It's ready to go. You pay me a subscription fee. I'll tell you how to do everything. Yeah. And the guy's like, well, I'm local to Montgomery. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. And they pay you a fee and whatever.
Yeah.
And then their biggest challenge, in my opinion, you can tell me what you think, but I think it's going to be getting all of those, almost here's the 10 different subcontractors you need and find 3 or 4 of them. Then the system can kind of automatically maybe reach out to them or something
even the people that are going to deal with the tenants. I think this is finding these people. I mean, you talk about customer service rep. You have to have a special kind of, what's the word?
Alcohol.
Attitude or
demeanor.
Demeanor.
Or training, really.
I don't think you can train that.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't.
I think
so. You can train me all you want.
Yeah.
I will never be a good.
That's my wife tells me that all the time. She's like, I don't know how you deal with the things that you deal with, because it just is difficult, It
is very difficult.
VAs are a huge part of my business. So I have 4 or 5 people that are in Mexico right now, just across the country in Mexico, and then I have 4 people in Birmingham, so a total of 9. And so, it just I would not be able to operate Freedom Ventures Property Management without our VAs, and so we don't even call them VAs; they're just team members. Just across the board, they have local numbers, and so yeah, having that system in place where you're training people and teaching them how to respond, teaching them to stay calm, the ability to not be offended when people call you like, what the heck, like this is broken again. It's like you have to train them on how to handle situations like that. And obviously everyone's a little bit different, but we've been, I don't know, lucky or blessed enough to have people that could do their jobs extremely well.
Did you go through a service to find those people?
Yeah, we did.
You did?
Yeah, the VAs. Yeah, we did.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
Anaquim is a, I don't know if they work specifically with property managers, but I know they work with property managers. And so they hire people that in Mexico worked well because their time zones are very similar to ours. And their English is really good, and they're super hard workers too. And so, they train them a little bit on fair housing, on a little bit of the basics of property management, and then they screen them, and then we interview kind of like the cream of the crop.
Wow. See, but there you go. You can just plug it. He can just take his system. Here's the.
Yeah. I've looked into that for sure. Yeah.
But then you would have, but then you still, it's kind of hard at the market level. Then you would still have to find the contractors and all of that, and the work orders.
The team, You know, it's like, again, if I think back to when I started the company, the ability to go to every property and to deal with every phone call, every owner, every tenant, every vendor, like you have to be able to expand. And so you have to pull, other team members. You have to learn how to hire, interview. I'm very, I hire based on not their past, but their values. Like, what are their values? Are they hard workers? Do they have integrity in everything they do? Are they team focused? Attention to details. I want to see, do they have these values that are aligned with their company? And if so, then they're going to be a good fit. I don't care what you did a year ago, 5 years ago. Like, that's irrelevant to me because I could train that. I can't train character and qualities and values and principles.
Yeah, that's right. So you were a teacher as well, right?
I was, yeah.
So do you think being a teacher, because I think a teacher, you kind of have to be, when you're dealing with a student, you want to be helping them out, encouraging them, but at the same time, you want to be firm, and you want to say, okay, well, And it's kind of, is this a similar relationship? You
I've never made that connection.
Or?
I've never made that connection, but I could see where they could align. I think from a teaching standpoint, that's how I sell. Is like I just show people, hey, this is real estate. This is what it provides. You get the cash flow, you get the tax deductions, depreciation, and I just teach people, and then I build trust that way, and then it allows I'm like I sell not by being this kind of like used car salesman, but just by helping and teaching and being there. So
okay, wow, very good. You have a mentorship program?
No.
And are you still like, is your goal still to get to the 1,000 doors?
Yeah. So actually, it's probably been at the start of Q2, so we're at the end of Q3. So probably about 3 months ago or 3-4 months ago, we were at 650. And so what happened there was my two partners that I referenced earlier, one of them was managing about 150 units down in Mobile, Alabama. That one became very challenging. There was a large flood. The mayor got involved, a lawsuit. It just was a pain in the butt. She's like, hey, I just want out. And so that 150 units went out. And I said, hey, look, I'm okay with letting go of that. But she wanted out of PM. So I was able to just make her offer and the other partner. And it was very amicable. But we went from 650 to about 300 real quick because it was 150 plus another 100 because we were slimming down our portfolio because it was in a very bad area. It caused a lot. It was just a ton of issues at that property level. So so actually now we're slowly building it back and building it the right way. And so being very selective with the owners that we take on, being very selective with the properties that we take on, because not every property is the same. You can have two properties that are very similar, and one's in a bad area that I'm going to have to be chasing down rent 100% of the time, versus another one where it's a good area, good tenants, and there's so many different factors and variables that go into that. But just through experience, I've been able to say not all growth is the same. I was very I just want to get to 1,000 units. I don't care what type of property. And now I sit back and I say, I don't want to get to 1,000 units if it requires dealing with super bad, rough areas where no contractors want to go to, or again, chasing down rent, or dealing with a property that's falling apart. It's like, I just would rather not. I'd rather be very slow and deliberate and you take care of the owners that I currently have that are appreciative, that are good, that invest in their properties, and then build it steadily and on a very good foundation that way. So,
Gotcha.
yes, the answer is yes. I'm still.
Yeah. And then what are you doing to get new owners to come and move over?
Yeah, nothing really. It's
Nothing?
all literally 100% been word of mouth. So, and also internal owners that we already serve, buying and expanding the portfolio. So,
Oh yeah, that's true.
yeah. So yeah, I haven't done any marketing.
But I
That's
think
just not
it's
something
not like also like if you do a very good job, you get a good reputation and all that kind of stuff. Then you have the owners that are with another not as good property management company, and then they say, well, this really is not good.
Yeah.
And they hear about you, and then all of a sudden you have 100 units moving over.
Yeah,
or
that's
50,
exactly what happens.
right?
That's
So-
exactly what happens. Yeah, because investors talk. Especially if we're both invested in Birmingham, Alabama. It's like, hey, how are your properties performing? It's like that's a very easy way to expand a property management company. But I could only imagine if I, expanded my marketing, my content marketing, my ads, paid ads, like there would be, a more exponential growth. But yeah.
Oh,
I haven't
dude.
done that yet.
The things I could do. Like, all right, just think about it. Property management companies, do you follow any, or maybe you do, but like a normal real estate investor doesn't follow, like no property management companies where like the face or the owner's face is on social media, posting blogs
It's
about
very rare.
Yeah, they don't.
very
Want,
rare.
I don't think they want their faces.
Well, they
I
should.
think there's a reason for that.
No, but they can be making content, making
yeah, I
blogs.
know.
They can
Oh,
be
yeah.
saying, "Hey, come invest." They can start a Birmingham real estate investors podcast where their property management's the sponsor. There's like property managers do nothing creative for market, which I get it too. Like if you just have a good product and you just focus on your product, which is property or your service, whatever.
Yep.
That's gonna like bring all the customers. But I remember, Dan in Memphis, his goal, he had like 1,500 doors under management in Memphis. His goal was 40 new clients, 40 new homes added to the portfolio every month. So started a podcast, started doing social media, email blasts to like not only reach out to the current owners, but also like new people online that were like, I want to invest in real estate out of state or whatever the case is. Like, well, we're full service Birmingham property management. We'll help you find the deal, manage it, and do all of
Is
those
he
steps.
seeing results from the content marketing and the podcast and all of that?
Yeah, I mean, he was hitting his goal a lot. And it was also to like reaching out to his current clients and be like, hey, here's a new listing that came up on the MLS. You guys should make an offer.
Yeah.
Like even something as simple as that. Or like, I can make the offer for any of you guys that want to. I'll waive my commission. Well, I guess that doesn't make any sense. But they'll
or just reduce it.
yeah,
or give,
reduce a fee
Yeah.
or reduce,
Yeah.
Hey, no leasing
fee,
fees on this,
exactly.
something like that to do
Yeah.
so many ways.
I think what happens though is that people, especially property managers, we're so busy in the day to day that working in the business that it's very challenging to take a step back and say, like, I could help so many people. I could create content that, again, all the stories, all the mistakes that I've made along the way. It's like, look for these red flags when screening a tenant. Like just that alone, being able to save, months of unpaid rent and eviction, like. And obviously it doesn't guarantee it, but at the same time, it really can help a lot of people. It's just finding the time. And again, that's just an excuse on my end because I find time for other things, and so I just need to be more disciplined ultimately and seeing the value in it of like, but yes, I completely agree, man.
Yeah, because you
there's
guys
an
are like,
opportunity.
you guys are the most important thing to, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what percentage of your clients are out of state. I'm assuming 95% of them.
Yeah, at least 90%.
Yeah, exactly. So like you just target. Oh my god, yeah, it's crazy.
Your statement of property management is the most important aspect to an asset. I completely agree.
Yeah,
like
it's the
at
key.
the end of the day, we're managing that 150 unit, and we're actually taking on it's a 40 unit in Birmingham, just outside of Birmingham, Homewood, and we're getting all the documents from the previous PM company and just atrocious, disorganized, don't have anything. They didn't give us any of the security deposits. The security deposit check, when we finally got it, was made out to the owner. It just has been a mess, and the tenants know that, and they stop paying rent or don't collect the rent. And so what happens is that if the property management company is not doing their duties of, doing everything that's involved, keeping up with maintenance, everything, if they don't do that, the asset doesn't perform. And if the asset doesn't perform, then you don't get paid as an owner, or you don't get paid as much as you possibly could. Yeah. And so, yes, property management directly affects the performance of an asset without a doubt.
Yeah.
But the other side of it is, I think owners, and I don't know about your rental owners or how you guys manage the property manager, but I think it is good to remember that property managers are humans. And so I always tell owners, yeah, exactly. We're not robots here. Not yet. Maybe one day. Yes, I think that owners need to, and I do this with my own portfolio, is I spend maybe 30 minutes a weekend. So Sunday mornings while the kids are sleeping, I wake up, just review my portfolio. Just review, go online and look at my owner portal. What expenses came up? Who paid rent? Why didn't this person pay rent? And just follow up with my team. I don't even reach out to, it's as if my property management company is managing my property. So I think too many owners just are super hands off and say, I don't want to do anything at all. And yes, I get it. Passive income, all of that is great. But that doesn't mean that you don't work at all. That just means dude, 30 minutes a weekend or, maybe an hour or two a month. It doesn't even take 2 hours. I would say maybe an hour if you're committing for the whole month. Very, and just get into the details and send an email, follow up, check in. We are not going to be offended by that as a property manager. If anything, it's going to help us here's the latest, and then we're actually going to be able to provide the late. And if a property manager is not giving you an update, then that's a red flag. They should know what's going on with each and every unit. Why isn't it paid? Why isn't it rented? Where is it at on the turnover? Where is it at on the maintenance? Everything they should have, and again, there's a lot of moving parts. So be patient with property managers, but I think it's very, very important for owners to just check in, not be rude or a jerk about it, but it also is just, hey, I see 112 unit C is not paid rent. Today's the 15th. What's going on? Oh yeah, we posted notice on the 10th, but they gave us a call. Their kid was in the hospital, but they're gonna make a payment on the 18th. It's that alone, it just goes so far. Provides so much value to owners because it just keeps them up to date, as opposed to waiting to the 30th and saying, hey, why didn't unit C pay? It's oh man, well I'm scrambling or whatever it may be. So invest the hour or two per month into the portfolio on your end.
Yeah, and I think one of the big problems that I saw when I was looking at these owner portal and stuff is the owner portal itself. The data that's available there is not very good. It's not well presented in many situations.
Which app do you use?
It was an AppFolio.
Really?
That's the worst one.
Yeah.
It's just horrible. And then we had a lot of issues. From one end, we had the ending balance of one owner statement didn't match up the beginning balance of the following one. It's because nothing is dynamic. It's all these PDF, and it's just they close the book here, but it doesn't match up. Oh yeah. So now we have the general ledger. Thing. So every month now they send my bookkeeper the general ledger. Because there are these transactions, when you have a bunch of properties, there's a bunch of houses like that where the transactions don't match. And he's looking at all the details.
Well, accounting is very challenging. Imagine running accounting for 1,000 properties. How many transactions on a monthly basis happen? So exactly. Yeah. So you understand but in that situation, I think that's more of an internal property management mishap or flaw. If the ending balance
regular, it was something that happened. It was kind of a flaw in the application.
Oh, really?
AppFolio's dog shit.
Really?
Yeah. Buildium and Propertyware, you can at least go back and they can update the past owner statement. AppFolio, essentially for the owner side, just gives you a PDF on the 15th of the month showing you a snapshot of the last 30 days.
Oh wow.
And then starting on the 16th of the month, it doesn't give you information until the next 15th.
Oh wow.
And then they can't go back and edit the past one. It's just a snapshot. Yeah. Here's what happened, and then they sometimes 3 days later.
What if they correct it though?
Yeah, no.
But the thing is, even during that period, I'm running blind during the.
Exactly.
If I want to go in there, all I can see is an old.
You don't even know if your tenant's paid.
So when you log in on the 12th, are you seeing if the tenant paid or?
No, we're seeing last month's owner statement.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay, so Buildium, and I thought AppFolio did this too. is they have an owner portal that's accessible 24/7. So when we update the tenant paid on the 2nd of the month, $750, it's going to show up on your end as well on the owner portal.
Should
At
be.
yeah, and then say we paid $250 for a leaky toilet.
20.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the way it works. So when we change it on our end, it should change it on
Yeah.
B Dynamic
Yeah,
on the
with
back end.
that
So I've heard really good things about AppFolio. Maybe
Really?
from other property managers though, not from owners. So
The
it's
property
interesting.
management-
that's
Yeah.
from owner.
The property management side is better,
Yeah.
but the owner side is just absolutely.
Yeah, that's surprising. I didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah,
well,
it's
that's good to
terrible.
know because I have a teammate wanting to go to AppFolio. So.
No,
Yeah,
hell
don't
no,
do it.
run away. Just go to Propertyware or Buildium are probably the two best ones. And also too, like you can't have any automations around it. So I don't know if you guys do this in Buildium, but like new tenant moves in, email the owner. Like tenant pays rent, email the owner.
I wish, yeah. Buildium is very selective on the automation, so they don't really integrate with other softwares. But we do use Monday. So Monday.com has been very, very helpful with automations. And now I'm to the point where if it's something that's repeatable or that happens on a monthly basis, from leasing. So it goes from the turnover got completed, we put it on market, it got a application, the application got approved, and then the tenant moved in. We send emails to the owners all along the way by just changing the status. So internally, we use Monday, and it just allows for more communication. And it's very generic. Hey, just a heads up, your unit at 123 Main Street got rented. It's like here you'll be paid next month or on the 3rd, whatever it may be. So automations are key.
That'd be nice.
You're a dream.
But I think that could also be integrated with. I don't understand why these property management company software they want to stay in their box.
I don't know either. Yeah.
Like this. Yeah, I need to integrate at least with my accounting system.
Oh yeah, QuickBooks.
Yeah.
Like
Buildium just released their API about a year ago, and it no lie is an additional $5,000 a month.
That's ridiculous.
Just to access their API to connect it with another, QuickBooks or Monday, whatever it may be. So we haven't connected it, but
I would build my own property management software before I do
well,
that.
they just sold for $680 million. So
well, there we go.
something like that. It was a crazy amount.
Oh,
We do
I'm ready.
We do flip system.
Jesus.
Additional module property.
Yeah,
management.
really.
It's not that complicated.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
also
agree.
too, they don't give any that's why there needs to be somebody's going to come out with something like what we had talked about.
Yeah.
Next month.
Because
Next
it's
month.
just like here's the
probably.
platform. Here's a platform. Here's all the people you need to find. Automations are done. Connect your QuickBooks. Connect Zapier.
Yeah.
That is going to automate all these emails. Like
The service requests. I mean, you have a lot of things like in other CRM software. You already have service request management. You always have already have property management. You have all the automations, all the workflows. I mean, you could rebuild this relatively quickly.
Buildium is a very good software in the sense that it really pulls together all the different aspects. So you have the owner portal, the tenant portal, you have the accounting standpoint, the maintenance. So any reporting, accounting, like all of that is within Buildium. So we would not be able to operate without it. But what it's missing is the automations and the integrations with all the other ones. So theoretically, if you all want to create a Buildium, replicate Buildium, and then add that additional piece of how can we add an automatic email to go out, like that is super basic. Or even just connect it to Monday so that when you change it in Buildium, it changes in Monday.
Yeah.
But
that would just be a simple Zapier connection. All they would have to do is connect it to Zapier. And
exactly.
Game over.
It's just
But
you
but
just expose the API.
Propertyware is even more archaic than Buildium. I think Buildium came out after Propertyware. It looks a little bit sleeker. Propertyware looks like your grandfather built it.
Yeah.
With the amber, no color screen, 4-color screen,
Black and white.
So let's talk about our listeners, helping them. So we have some listeners that may want to build a passive income portfolio in rentals and stuff like that. So tell them or repeat what you've already said about kind of like what is the value of the property management company, why they should go and add a property manager to their team instead of doing their own property management.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way for me to justify hiring a property manager is so that it frees up your time. It's just hiring someone else on your team so that, again, as a business owner, I don't particularly like hiring people because it's more expensive, but it's challenging. You're dealing with other people, but the benefit, the pros of that outweigh the cons by miles, because what happens is instead of dealing with the day-to-day of owning real estate, all the calls, all the emails, all the meetings, all the showings, all of that, you're able to delegate that. And essentially, it becomes a hire on your team. And so you're able to then free up your time. And the key part to it is you need to be disciplined to not just sit back and do nothing. You have to be disciplined to hand this over, but then to be able to call the owners and send out the emails and do the follow-up phone calls and send out the marketing. Like if you're doing that and you're wanting to scale a property or rental portfolio, then yeah, it makes sense to where I will say if you're starting out, it'd probably be beneficial to try at least once if it's local, like just so that you could see, what
you want a property manager.
Yeah, exactly. It had the difficulty of what it goes into owning property, all the different facets of it. But that being said, I do think that yes, a property manager, a good property manager is worth its weight in gold. There's just no way around it because again, for a very nominal fee, you're able to get a ton of value.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned the story about that 80-unit apartment building that I bought and with no property management, and oh my god, most of the tenants were good, but I mean, there's the one tenant that's bad that's just like ruined the whole thing.
All it takes is one.
It makes it so painful, and oh my god. And my realtor was saying, oh yeah, I could have. He wanted to manage it for for like I think 5% or 10% a month. I said, oh no, that's okay, I'll do it. So, but my mentor at the time was not using a property management company, so he never saw the value. Yeah. And unfortunately, he communicated that lack of value to me. But now, after that one experience, I'm 100% sold on.
Sometimes people have to learn the hard way. That's some people are just hard-headed like that. But I would say honestly, it's not even because I own a property management company. I don't care who you use. I just think that the value of a good property manager, the ability to execute on the laws of when to post notice, how long to send it to attorney, the ability to have a good attorney to send it to get it through eviction as soon as possible. That alone will save you so much heartache and so much money, because as opposed to waiting 30, 60, 90 days to post the notice on the door and get the attorney onto the case, that is just going to save you a lot of heartache and a lot of time and a lot of money ultimately.
Yeah, and often we say, oh, you're hiring a property manager, like adding one you're not adding a person on your team, you're adding a team on your team. The whole team is there. So the whole infrastructure, all the process and all of that.
Yeah, the network too. Yeah, all the contractors.
Yeah. So to me, I mean, it's tremendous value. Totally, as you know, I'm sold. Still sold on that. But what about if someone is interested in being a property manager? They listen to your story, they're inspired, and they say, "Hey, I want to be a property manager." So, what do you think? What are the first steps for getting there, for getting started, and scaling up?
So if you're going to be a property manager, at least in Alabama, you have to be you have to have a broker's license, or at least a real estate license, and then the broker has to be okay with doing property management. But say you're a broker, say you can. What I would say is be very quick to start building your systems. So figure out what does each aspect of the business consist of, and then be able to write it down. So the quicker that you're able to have and create those systems, the more repeatable it is and the less stress you're going to have on it. What happens is that there's so many unknowns when you jump into it that if you deal with this situation, a tenant doesn't pay rent and you don't know how to respond, what happens is that, it creates stress. It creates this oh man, how do I deal with this? And then I have to communicate to the owner, hey, this person didn't pay rent. And so when you're able to say, when this person doesn't pay rent, I know what the next 3 steps are, 5 steps are, it makes it very, very easy. So yeah, if someone wanted to start a property management company, I would say do it at scale. It makes sense. There's a lot of profit in property management. Let alone all of the network, all the benefits that come along with property management. But just know that it's going to be very challenging. But again, difficulties are not a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing. And when something's difficult, people are less likely to do it. And so from that perspective alone, property management is a very good industry because less people don't
Yeah.
want, more people don't want to do it. So less and less competition. And
Barrier
if you
to
could,
entry, as I say often.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a very high barrier to entry. And so if you are able to provide a very good level of service, just communicate. Just if you just do that as a property management company and you keep tabs on everything that's within your portfolio, it's going to naturally grow. There's just no way that, like you mentioned, people talk, the network expands. And so, and then obviously all the benefits of a possible recession and, like the stability of that, it's a great industry. I would say just lean into systems and automations, because if you could do those two things, then you're going to be able to build a very successful business as long as you're caring and respecting everyone involved.
So this is the perfect partner that you want to have as a property manager, because this offloads a lot. We're talking about that too. This for us, like the property management and dealing with tenants is a real hard problem. It's really time consuming, and then you pass it on to someone like you that is energetic and loves doing that. I mean, this is fantastic. You're happy. We're happy, so that's perfect.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what the industry is. It's like, how can I make the owner's life as easy as possible? We're gonna try to do everything within our power to make it as passive, as seamless, as easy as possible for you, and that's what we're paid to do. So it's at the end of the day, things come up, crap happens. Like life isn't perfect or ideal, but every single time we try to improve, and now I'm to the point where we communicate with the owners on everything. There's no reason why, if an owner reaches out to me, why I can't give them the latest update. Like if there's something wrong, something broke, tenant isn't paying, there's a big move out that's going to need a big turnover. Like they need to know as soon as possible. So be quick to over communicate and keep them up to date, because at the end of the day, the truth comes out. They're going to find out eventually. You might as well just tell them on the front end, and then be able to have a game plan going into of how to actually solve it. Because there's problems all the time.
So let's talk about the economy, news, and stuff like that. Recession coming. How does that affect your business and how you see the future?
So it's twofold. One hand, I'm an investor, 45 rental units. I'm a little bit hesitant. I see the rising interest rates. I see demand coming down. I flipped just a few, so I'm not too worried on that front. I think there are going to be some really good deals in the next 12 to 18 months. I think I see the trend of price decreases, average days on market expanding, demand coming down, and obviously supply is low. So it's this kind of push and pull. But on the PM side, I see it very stable. I see if interest rates continue to rise, which it looks like they will, the Fed will continue to expand. What happens is the less people could afford to buy, they're forced to rent. And so it just expands the property management company. So
you see vacancy going down, and you see like more demand for rentals.
Oh yeah. Because at the end of the day, looking back, higher interest rates, less demand. They have to live somewhere, so they're most likely going to rent. As long as you're in a good area, priced well, you're going to be able to rent them out.
And the Birmingham market, how's that going in terms of appreciation and in terms of rent increase?
Birmingham is not it's not like Miami. Miami has this huge appreciation.
Nothing is like Miami.
Yeah, that's true. Not even like a Memphis. Memphis has seen a lot of appreciation over the years. Birmingham is a very stable, incremental increase. It's like, I don't know what the latest numbers are because I'm not on the realty side as much, but I would say probably between 4 and 6% appreciation over the past, 5 years, whatever it may be. Oh, really? So it's not huge, but it's also not nominal. So it's very steady. Birmingham there's always going to be rentals there. It's a very good cash flow market. And so I'm a huge proponent. I think of the neighboring big cities. You have Atlanta, 2 hours east. Huge market. Atlanta and Birmingham were really, very the same size. Atlanta expanded. They got their airport. It just blew up. North of Birmingham, about 3 hours, is Nashville. There's a ton of development. You have Memphis just north as well. That's continued to grow. As those markets continue to grow, become overpriced, or just priced to where people can't afford it, traffic, there's always an expansion to move outside. And so because of the parameters, it's like, I can't afford to live in Atlanta. Okay, well, Birmingham is just 2 hours away. And so I'm very bullish on Birmingham. luckily I've been able to build a portfolio. If I think, in the next 3, 5, 10 years, where will Birmingham be? It's going to be a lot bigger than what it is right now because of all of the different factors that go into it.
Okay, sounds good. And Danny, where can people reach out to you?
Yeah, they could find us on our website, freedomventurespm.com, or send me an email, danny@freedomventurespm.com. And we'd love to be able to help you out, answer any questions. Just do what I can to serve and help.
Oh, Danny, thank you very much.
You.
Make sure you like and subscribe. Every week we're going to have these great interviews with investors and property managers and realtors like Danny. So make sure you like and subscribe to keep up with all the latest. And that's it. That's a wrap.